faint hum echoed in the distance, soft and rhythmic like a heartbeat. Slowly, his eyes fluttered open. At first, everything was a blur of shapes melting into strange colors. The air felt warmer than he remembered, filled with a sweet calming scent he couldn't place. His mind tried to remember what had happened. There was an explosion, flames, pain, then darkness now. He was lying on a bed that didn't feel like any hospital bed he had ever known. It was smooth and warm, almost like it was alive. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy, weak, as if all his strength had been drained away. He blinked again, and the room came into focus. It was unlike anything on Earth. The walls were curved and glowing faintly with soft blue light. Strange. Machines hovered quietly nearby, their surfaces shining like liquid metal. He wasn't in any normal hospital. He wasn't even sure he was on Earth anymore. A shadow moved beside him. His breath caught. Standing at his bedside was a figure tall and graceful. At first glance, she seemed human, but there was something undeniably different. Her skin shimmered like pale silver, reflecting the soft glow of the room. Her hair flowed like silk strands of starlight, and her eyes glowed faintly, warm and gentle, yet not quite human. He tried to speak, but his voice came out dry and weak. Where am I? The figure tilted her head, then smiled. It wasn't a cold or distant smile. It was soft, full of warmth that immediately calmed him. When she spoke, her voice was like a soothing melody. "You're fine," she said. Softly, "You are safe now, human." Her words were clear, yet there was something strange about them, like they were being translated perfectly into his language. He stared at her, still unsure if he was dreaming. Was this real? Was he hallucinating? "You were found drifting in space," she continued, her tone calm and caring. "Your vessel was destroyed. We recovered you before it was too late." Space? Vessel? He struggled to remember. He'd been on a mission, an exploration ship. Then an ambush. A loud explosion. His escape pod spinning into darkness. He had thought it was the end. Now this alien, this beautiful, otherworldly being was tending to him. He tried to lift his arm, but pain shot through him. She gently placed a cool hand on his chest, stopping him. "Don't move. Your body is still healing. You need rest." Her touch was soft, almost too soft, and yet there was strength in it. He could feel a faint warmth spreading from her hand, easing the ache in his body. His heart pounded, not from fear, but from the strange comfort she gave. He looked around again. The room wasn't just a medical bay, it felt alive. The walls pulsed gently with faint lights, and the machines seemed to respond to her presence. He couldn't hear any other voices, only the quiet hum of alien technology. "Who are you?" he whispered. She placed a small glowing device on the table beside him and then looked back at him with those warm, luminous eyes. "My name is Liara. I am a healer of the Cerinthian people. You are on our vessel now." Liara? The name sounded like a song. He wanted to ask more, where they were taking him, why they saved him, but his body felt too heavy. She noticed his exhaustion and leaned a little closer. Her voice was soft and reassuring. "Sleep, human. You are safe with me." His eyelids grew heavier, but before he slipped back into unconsciousness, he saw her smile once more. It wasn't just a healer smile. It felt genuine. For the first time since the accident, he felt no fear. Peace, and then darkness again. When he woke again, the room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. This time, his vision was clearer. The glowing walls seemed calmer, and the air felt lighter. He turned his head slowly and saw her again. Liara was sitting beside him, watching over him with calm, patient eyes. Her silver-like skin shimmered faintly under the soft light, and her hands were gently holding a strange crystal device that pulsed with energy. She seemed so peaceful, like someone who had no anger in her heart. She noticed his eyes open and smiled warmly. "We're awake," she said softly. Her voice was calm, like a soothing song. "How do you feel?" He blinked a few times, still trying to process everything. "Tired, but better," he whispered. His throat still felt dry. Liara stood and picked up a small vessel from a nearby table. She held it to his lips. "Drink this. It will help your strength return." The liquid was cool and sweet, unlike anything he had tasted before. As it slid down his throat, he felt a strange warmth spreading through his body, easing the weakness in his limbs. "Thank you," he said quietly. Liara tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes filled with a soft curiosity. "It is my duty as a healer," she replied. "Your injuries were severe, but you are recovering well. Human bodies are resilient." He gave a small, tired smile. "I guess we're stubborn that way." She smiled too, and for a moment the room felt lighter. Despite being an alien, her presence didn't feel strange anymore. It felt comforting. He wanted to know more, Liara. "Why did you save me?" She paused, looking thoughtful. "Because every life has value," she said gently. He said, "The ends travel the stars. To heal, not to harm. When we found your escape pod, we could not leave you to die." Her words were simple, but they carried a deep kindness. He felt a lump in his throat. In the cold emptiness of space, he had been rescued by someone who didn't even know him. She stayed by his side, checking his wounds with careful hands. Her touch was gentle, almost too gentle, like she was afraid of causing him pain. Each time her fingers brushed against his skin, he felt an odd warmth that wasn't just physical, it was something deeper, like she truly cared, to distract himself. From the strange feelings growing inside, he asked, "Where exactly am I?" Liara glanced around the room. "You are aboard our medical vessel, the Cerinthian Starward. We are far from your planet. Your ship was destroyed in a dangerous region of space. You were the only one we could find alive." His heart tightened. Memories of his crew flashed in his mind. The laughter, the mission, the sudden attack. Closed his eyes for a moment, the pain of loss washing over him. Liara noticed his expression and lowered her voice. "I am sorry for your loss," she whispered. "I know the silence of space can be cruel." Her empathy surprised him. She wasn't human, yet she understood his grief. That single moment of kindness made him trust her even more. Over the next hour she stayed close, talking softly to keep his mind calm. She told him about her people, the Cerinthians, a peaceful race who believed every life was precious. She described vast healing stations floating in the void, where no one was ever turned away in return. He told her about Earth, about oceans that stretched farther than the eye could see, about forests filled with life, about music and laughter. Liara listened intently, her luminous eyes filled with wonder. "You humans live on one planet," she said softly, almost in awe. "It must be beautiful." He nodded weakly. "It is, and maybe one day you'll see it." She smiled again, a soft, hopeful smile that made him feel lighter. For the first time since the accident, he didn't feel like a lost survivor. Felt like someone cared. And in that strange glowing room far away from Earth, he felt a fragile but real sense of peace. The days passed quietly, though time felt strange aboard the Cerinthian vessel. There were no windows to show the stars outside, only the soft blue glow of the medical bay. Yet in that quiet place, something new began to grow between them. Liara visited him every day, always carrying a calm presence with her. She checked his healing wounds, gave him food and strange glowing drinks that restored his strength faster than any human medicine. But beyond her duties, she stayed to talk. "Tell me more about your home," she asked one day, sitting beside his bed. Her voice was soft, filled with genuine curiosity. He hesitated for a moment, unsure where to begin. Then he smiled faintly. "Earth is noisy, crowded, but it's beautiful. We have oceans so wide you can't see the end of them. It's mountains that touch the clouds, forests full of life, and the sunsets. They paint the whole sky with colors." Lyra's glowing eyes widened slightly. "It sounds like a living paradise," she whispered. "Our world is not like that anymore. We lost many of our natural lands. We travel now, always moving among the stars. To hear of a planet still so full of life, it feels like a dream." There was a small sadness in her voice. He noticed it, and felt a strange tug in his heart. "What about your world?" he asked gently. What was it like? Lyra looked down for a moment, her silver-like hair falling softly around her face. Long ago, Sarenthia was a place of great beauty. Our skies glowed with two suns. We had rivers that shimmered like crystal, but wars and time changed it now. Only fragments remain. We learned too late that life is fragile. That is why we heal, why we save whoever we can. We will not allow other worlds to fall like ours did. Her words carried quiet pain, and he realized she carried more than just kindness. She carried the weight of her people's past. For a moment, they sat in silence. The hum of the ship, the only sound. Then he spoke softly. I'm sorry for what your people lost. She looked at him again, and there was a small smile on her lips. And I am sorry for what you have lost as well. Space can be cruel, but sometimes it also brings souls together who were never meant to meet. Her words lingered in the air, soft but powerful. He felt something warm inside Hammond, understanding that they were both survivors of different kinds of loss. As his strength slowly returned, Lyra began teaching him about Cerinthian ways. She showed him small healing crystals that glowed with gentle light. She let him hear the soft music her people created, melodies that felt like whispers of stars. In return, he shared human songs with her, humming quiet tunes he remembered from Earth. She listened with deep fascination, her luminous eyes closing as if feeling the emotions within the music. You humans put so much feeling into simple sounds, she said softly. It is beautiful. There. Conversations became longer. Sometimes they laughed softly over small things, like when he tried to pronounce Cerinthian words and failed. Sometimes they simply sat in silence, but it was not an empty silence. It was peaceful. One evening, as he rested, she brought him a small holographic display. It showed images of the galaxy stars, nebulae, and distant worlds. This is where we found you, she said, pointing at a faint glowing mark. It is a dangerous place. Many ships never return. But we were there at the right time. Perhaps it was fate. He looked at her, his eyes meeting hers. It was fate, then I'm glad it brought you. Lyra seemed slightly surprised by his words, but then she smiled a gentle smile that made the cold vastness of space feel a little less empty. In that moment, he realized something had changed. She wasn't just his healer anymore. She was becoming a friend. Maybe even something more. And for the first time since the disaster, he felt hope flickered quietly inside him. The peaceful days didn't last. It began with a soft, unfamiliar sound. A low alarm echoed through the medical bay, its tone different from the gentle hums he had grown used to. Lyra stiffened, her glowing eyes flickering with sudden worry. He pushed himself up slightly, still weak but alert. What's happening? Lyra moved quickly to a nearby console. Her fingers glided over the strange controls, and a series of alien symbols flashed across the walls. Her calm expression cracked for the first time. We're being followed, she said quietly. A hostile vessel has entered our range. His heart tightened. Hostile? What do you mean? Lyra turned to him, her voice steady, but her eyes serious. They are called the Dravith Raiders. They attack ships for resources and for captives. They realize there is a human aboard, they will take you. They trade humans as slaves in the outer systems. The words hit him like a punch. Slaves, captives. He had escaped death once, only to face another danger. What will they do? He asked, trying to keep his voice calm. They will board us if they can. Our ship is small, not made for battle, Lyra explained, her hands tightening slightly.
Eyes.
With some sign I say and I we said it and so to be a win saw I said as that san sad say it sets now There was no fear for herself in her tone, only determination to protect him. That made his chest ache with a strange mix of worry and gratitude. Suddenly, the soft blue lights of the bay turned dim red. The hum of the ship deepened into a heavy vibration. He could feel it. The Cerinthian vessel was trying to move faster, to escape. Liara placed a small device near him. "Stay here. I'll secure the bay," he said quickly, even though his body was still weak. "I can help." She turned to him sharply. "You are not fully healed. You cannot fight." "I can't just lie here if they're coming," he argued, his voice low but firm. For a moment, she studied him, her glowing eyes softening with a mix of frustration and admiration. Then she nodded slightly. "If it comes to it, stay close. To me, do not let them see you." The ship shook slightly, a tremor that made the bed vibrate. He could hear distant metallic echoes, perhaps weapons, striking against the Cerinthian shields. Liara moved to a wall panel and revealed a hidden compartment. Inside were small, glowing orbs and a slender silver staff that seemed too delicate to be a weapon. She took the staff in her hand, holding it with quiet confidence. Seeing her like this was different. She was still graceful, still calm, but there was a quiet strength in her now. She wasn't just a healer she could protect too. Moments stretched. Into silence, the only sound the distant hum of engines straining at maximum speed. Then the alarm shifted into a sharper tone. "They're closing in," Liara whispered. He felt his heart race. His thoughts spiraled. What if they boarded? What if they took her? Or him? He clenched his fists, angry at his own weakness. Liara stepped closer to him, her luminous eyes locking onto his. "Listen to me. No matter what happens, I will keep you safe."
Oh.
"Do you trust me?" He swallowed hard but nodded. "Yes, I trust you." For a second, her expression softened. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Then stay strong. This will pass." But before he could reply, the ship lurched violently, throwing him back against the bed. Thud echoed through the corridor, outside the sound of something attaching itself to the hull. Liara froze, her staff glowing faintly in her hands. "They're here," she said softly. The peaceful days were over. Now survival depended on what they did next. The sound of heavy metal claws scraping against the ship's hull sent chills through the air. The Dravith raiders had latched on to the Cerinthian vessel. The soft hum of the medical bay was replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by distant thuds echoing through the corridors. Liara gripped her slender silver staff tightly, its glowing edge humming with quiet energy. She glanced at him, her calm face now sharp with focus. "They've breached the outer hall," she whispered. "We don't have much time." He tried to stand, his legs trembling from weakness. She moved quickly to his side, catching him before he could fall. "You're still healing," she said softly. But there was urgency in her tone. "I can walk," he insisted, forcing his legs to steady. "Just help me." For a moment, Liara studied him. Then she nodded and slipped her arm around his waist, supporting his weight. Her touch was firm but gentle, guiding him like a steady anchor. "We can't stay here," she said. "If they reach the medical bay, they will find you. Follow me and stay quiet." They stepped into the corridor. It was dimly lit now, the walls glowing a faint red. The ship's once peaceful hum was replaced by distant metallic crashes. The Dravith were cutting their way through. He leaned on Liara as they moved carefully, her silver hair glinting faintly in the soft light. Despite the fear pressing in on them, her presence felt steady, unshaken. "Where are we going?" he asked quietly. "To the lower decks," she whispered. "There's an auxiliary escape pod, small, but it can get us away from the raiders." They turned a corner and froze. Ahead, the corridor doors hissed open, and shadows moved inside, tall armored figures with glowing red visors. The Dravith, their heavy steps echoed like the sound of death approaching. Liara gently pulled him back into a small side passage. They pressed against the wall, silent. His heart pounded so loud he was sure they could hear it. The raiders' guttural voices echoed through the hallway, rough and harsh. Couldn't understand the words, but the tone was clear they were. Searching. Liara held her breath, her glowing eyes sharp and focused. When the footsteps faded further down the main corridor, she leaned close to his ear and whispered, "We have to move now." They slipped out, moving in the opposite direction. Every step felt heavier, but adrenaline kept him going. Liara guided him swiftly but carefully. Her movements graceful and silent despite the danger, as they reached the lower deck access hatch. A sudden metallic crash behind them made them both freeze. A Dravith raider had spotted them. "There," a harsh voice snarled. Before he could even react, Liara turned, raising her silver staff. A flash of bright energy burst from its tip, striking the raider with a crackling light. The creature stumbled, back with a roar, its armor sparking. "Go," Liara urged, her voice firm but calm. He obeyed, moving as fast as his weak legs allowed while she covered him. Another raider appeared, but Liara was faster. She spun gracefully, her staff glowing, brighter and struck with precision. Despite her gentle nature, there was strength and skill in every move she made. Finally, they reached the escape pod bay.
Oh.
Liara quickly tapped the controls, opening the small pod's hatch. She helped him inside, then glanced back at the corridor. The sounds of pursuit were growing louder again. "You first," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos. He looked at her, realizing she wasn't planning to stay behind. She was coming with him. "What about your ship?" he asked breathlessly. "There's no time," she replied softly. "They will destroy it." "But you," she paused, her glowing eyes softening for just a second. "You must live." Before he could argue, she stepped inside and sealed the hatch. The pod detached with a soft hiss, drifting away from the Cerinthian vessel just as another violent explosion shook it. Inside the small pod, silence fell. Liara sat across from him, her breathing calm, though her eyes still carried the weight of what they had left behind. He looked at her, still catching his breath. You risked everything to save me?" Liara met his gaze quietly. "I could not leave you," she said simply. In that moment, as the stars stretched endlessly, outside the tiny window, he realized their bond was no longer just healer and patient. It was something deeper, something forged in danger and trust. The escape pod drifted silently through the endless darkness of space. Outside the small viewing panel, stars glimmered like scattered diamonds. Inside, the air was still, broken only by the soft hum of the pod's systems. He sat quietly, his body still weak, trying to catch his breath after everything that had happened. His mind spun with everything they had just escaped: the alarms, the raiders, the destruction of Lyra's ship. Across from him, Liara sat in calm silence, her silver-like skin faintly glowing in the dim light. Her hands rested gently on her knees, but her eyes stared out the small window, distant and thoughtful. He watched her for a moment, noticing how tired she looked. Not physically, but in a deeper way, quiet weight she carried. Finally he spoke, his voice soft. "You lost your ship, didn't you?" Liara turned her glowing eyes toward him. She didn't answer right away. Then she nodded slowly. "Yes, the Starward is gone." There was no anger in her tone, only quiet sadness. "I'm sorry," he said. "It was your home, wasn't it?" She gave a faint smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. It was more than a home. It was a promise, a place where we healed those in need. Now, it's just another memory. The silence that followed felt heavy. He realized she had given up everything to save him. She could have left him behind to protect her people and her mission, but she hadn't. She had chosen him. Why? He whispered suddenly. "Why would you risk so much?" "For me," Lyra's gaze softened. "Because life is precious." "Because—" She paused, searching for the right words. "When I looked at you, I saw someone who had not given up. Even in your weakness, there was strength. You reminded me of what we Cerinthians once were. Her words left him speechless. He felt a warmth in his chest he couldn't explain. The pod's soft autopilot voice interrupted the moment. Destination unknown. Limited fuel supply. Estimated life support. 48 hours. He sighed. So we're just drifting. For now, Liara replied gently. The pod will send a signal. Perhaps a friendly vessel will find us. Sat in silence for a while, the hum of the pod filling the empty space. After some time, she reached into a small compartment and pulled out a tiny glowing crystal. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. This is a Cerinthian memory shard, she explained. It holds the songs of my people. Would you like to hear it? He nodded. Liara placed the shard on the pod's console. A soft, ethereal melody filled the cabin. It was unlike any human music, gentle, flowing, full of emotions that couldn't be put into words. It felt like sadness and hope all at once. He closed his eyes, letting the sound wash over him. When he opened them again, he saw Liara watching him quietly. It's beautiful, he whispered. It carries our history, she said softly. Even if our world is gone, our songs remain. He hesitated, then reached out his hand toward her. Liara, I don't know what will happen next. Thank you for everything. She looked at his hand for a moment, then slowly placed her own in his. Her touch was warm, gentle. You don't need to thank me, she whispered. I'm glad I was there when you needed someone. For a long moment they simply sat there, their hands lightly touching. In that small, drifting pod surrounded by endless darkness, they weren't just alien and human anymore. They were two souls holding on to each other. He realized then that he didn't want to lose her. Not now. Not after everything. As the music of her people played softly around them, he felt a quiet determination grow inside him. Whatever came next, rescue, danger, or more unknowns, he knew they would face it together. Outside, the stars continued to shimmer, silent witnesses to their fragile but growing bond. Hours passed in the quiet hum of the escape pod. The soft melody from Lyra's memory shard had faded, leaving only the sound of their breathing and the distant echo of space. He was drifting in half-sleep when a faint beep startled him. Liara leaned forward, her glowing eyes narrowing at the console. A soft light blinked on the screen. It's a signal, she said, her voice calm but carrying a hint of hope. Someone is close. His heart jumped. A ship. Is it friendly? Liara touched the controls, scanning the data. Yes, it's human. Relief washed over him like a wave. After everything, the wreck, the raiders, the escape, they had a chance. Minutes later, the pod shook gently as something large approached. Through the small viewing panel, a silhouette appeared, a human rescue vessel, its lights bright against the darkness. Liara looked at him quietly. This is your people, she said softly. He glanced at her, seeing a strange flicker in her expression. Was it relief or uncertainty? The pod docked with the larger ship. The hatch opened with a hiss, and bright white light flooded in. A group of human crew members stepped inside, their faces a mix of shock and curiosity. Commander, one of them gasped. You're alive. He nodded weakly, still leaning on Liara for support. I had some help. Their eyes shifted to Liara, and silence fell. She stood tall and calm, her silver-like skin shimmering faintly in the harsh light. The humans stared, unsure what to make of her. She saved me, he said firmly, his voice strong despite his weakness. She's the reason I'm here. The crew exchanged glances but didn't argue. They carefully helped him out of the pod, guiding him into the safety of the larger vessel. Liara followed quietly, her movements graceful yet hesitant as she stepped onto a human ship for the first time. In the med bay of the rescue vessel, human doctors rushed to check his condition. But he refused to let go of Lyra's hand until he was sure she would stay by his side. She's not just an alien, he told them. She's my friend. Lyra watched silently as the humans worked. She had done her part, but now she was in a world that was not hers. Later, when the ship finally settled into quiet, he found her standing alone near a window, looking out at the stars. Her glowing eyes seemed distant, thoughtful. "You're thinking of your people," he said softly, approaching her. She turned to him, her calm smile returning. "Yes, I wonder if they survived the attack. But I also wonder what will happen now for us." He stood beside her, staring at the endless void beyond the glass. "You don't have to wonder alone. Stay with me. Come to Earth. You don't have a ship anymore, but you have me." Liara blinked slowly, surprised by his words. "Earth, it is not my home." He smiled faintly. "Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's someone." For a moment, silence filled the space between them. Then, slowly, her smile softened, more genuine than ever. Then perhaps, she whispered, "I will see your oceans and your sunsets." He nodded, his chest feeling strangely full. "And maybe you'll teach me more about your stars and your songs." Gosh. Outside the window, the stars stretched endlessly, no longer cold and empty, but full of possibility. The rescue ship turned toward a new course toward Earth, and inside, two souls who should never have met sat quietly together, bound now by survival, kindness, and something deeper neither of them fully understood yet. As the journey began, he glanced at her one more time. "Liara." "Yes, I'm glad it was you who found me." She looked at him, her luminous eyes gentle. "And I am glad you didn't give up." In the vast silence of space, a new chapter was beginning, one not written by fate alone, but by the choices they had made together.